All right, well then, you know what, that's a perfect segue to bring on our next presenter, because I can assure you that she knows just a little bit about goal setting. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Those of you don't know her, but I bet that's very few people in this room. Karen Hoffman is the founder of Gateway to Dreams, a nonprofit that focuses on positive possibilities and community collaboration to realize dreams. Karen has received awards locally and nationally for helping small business owners and for being a business matchmaker. Today, Karen will share tips from her workshop, The Joy of Goals, that could help you reap even more from the coming year. Please help me welcome Karen Hoffman.
So there has been a little bit of talk about not being perfect, so I want to tell you how I'm not perfect on the worksheet you have. So if you would go down to recommended books on the first page, it's got the Joy of Goals logo at the top. I have The Dream Giver twice. I did this over the weekend. I'm one of those people, done now, perfect never. And so sometimes that bites me. It's biting me right now. The Dream Giver is actually, the first one is The Dream Manager. It's by Matthew Kelly, not Mitchell Kelly. I just caught this as I'm sitting here, so. All right. How did we give birth to something called Joy of Goals? It came from my small business. I am not a natural manager. I'm more of a visionary. Leading people is not my gifted area as far as accomplishments and things like that. So one year between Christmas and New Year, I took my very small team, there were 7 of us, and there were 2 that had been with me for several years. And we did a goal workshop. I wanted them to have 10 personal goals and 10 business goals. We went through it. It was kind of I made it a fun day, but in the end what I realized, I learned about my employees things I didn't know. One of my employees that had great rapport with his people but never seemed very motivated, he should have been a park ranger. Being in an office without windows was actually really hard on him. And what I found on his list of goals was he wanted to spend more time outside. So I said, hey, you get your goals every week, take off Friday afternoons. He made his goals, before that, when it was money motivated, he didn't. When it was about something he cared about, being outside, it made a difference. The other woman had come to me as a welfare mom and had proved how capable she was and how driven she was. And she was, at that time, making probably $35,000 or $40,000. And one of her dreams was to get out of the apartment complex she was in and have a home. My husband and I married young. We bought our first homes when we were 19 and 20. I was in real estate for a while, so I knew about things like FHA and owner pay closing. I called a real estate friend of mine and I said, hey, let's get her in a house. And within 9 months, she was in a house. So I'm sharing this because that's where this began. When I sold my company, I've always been in mastermind groups, and one of my mastermind groups was a group of women, and they said, can you do that little workshop you did for your company? And yeah. So for 3 years, I did it for my mastermind group. And then one year they asked me to take it to a women's group. And that's actually where Joy of Goals was born. And what I wanted it to be is something that we have fun with. A lot of times we spend more time planning maybe a vacation or a birthday party than we look at what we want out of our life. So if you look at my notes here, we start out first with a foundation of your mind, your mindset. If you are not open, if you keep thinking that you can't do things, you won't do things. But if you approach goal setting with kind of a magic, in fact, I used to have a magic wand I used, that magic can occur by setting goals. I have seen it through the years over and over again. So starting with a mindset of positive possibilities that together many things can be done. The other thing is our energy. Is your energy positive or negative? When we walk into a room, I think it's Brene Brown, no, that's not it. There's a woman who's an author about the brain. She had a stroke of insight. Thank you. We are responsible for the energy we bring in the room. If we come in a bad mood, other people can feel it. If we come in a good mood, other people can feel it. If you are going to have a pretty cool, great life, focusing more on what is right and what is good is part of your energy. So that's the first thing we do to make it fun. The next thing we do, and Glenda talked about John Maxwell doing something similar. We celebrate the previous year. We literally ask people to bring their a calendar, if it's electronic or print, and go through it month by month. I have seen some people get pretty emotional because they thought they hadn't done anything, and then they have list after list of things they did, just things that mattered to them that they were too busy working on and working and maybe living and not taking time to see all the things they're accomplishing. And I really loved, and I want to bring up, Glenda brought up, and we're adding it to our workshop for this year, is the people that we've met over the year, all of our appointments. How many people in the room can say, I met someone and I clicked, but we never got back together? Anybody else or just me? Yeah. And so one of the things I love about it, and I'm doing more of, is that is important to me. I'm a relationship person, and I have this thing about when there's certain people I've met, like there's this chemistry that happens. And in fact, one person, I'm trying to think now who it is, we keep saying we love each other. Well, it's because of Medici that I'm in a love relationship with Marty K. Casey. I mean, Marty K. Casey is an actor who has space there. And, we do get together a lot. But who is it that you met, that you clicked with, that you thought you could help or they could help you? And I'm actually more on who can I help? And actually, it's one of the questions I like to ask. How can I help you? What could we do to serve you? So we go through the book and we celebrate. And then each person, they share some of their biggest highlights from the year that, again, maybe they forgot about. Then I got this from, not Mark Victor Hansen, Jack Canfield. Jack Canfield had something one time out there about setting 100 goals. Well, to me, I felt like 100 limited me. I wanted 101 because that felt like more, like I could go further. But I started doing that with people in my life, and that actually, we have a whole workbook around this. But when you start dreaming, and you don't limit it to just 2 or 3 things, but you just dream about anything and everything, you're going to come back, you're going to not go for 101 goals, but by writing down, you start going, oh, this matters to me. Oh, I'm writing this down, but this doesn't really matter to me, or, but you get to have more, I don't know what the word I want to say is, you can go deeper than just surface goals. We also talk about your financial goals. That's just to be cognizant of them. And then when we're done, we ask people to go back and pick their top 10 and then their top 3, because you can't do 101 at one time. Now, the one thing that I know about the universe and how in my head God works is even just the thing of writing them down. We have people come up and tell their stories about something they didn't work on, but they manifested. And I believe that when we get clear, things just come to us. We also talk about in our workshop, like let's say you want to write a book. You don't find time to write a book, you make time. If there are things you want to do, you have to make time. And so we talk about things like your time chart and time mapping. Mary Kuthich used to do a lot around time mapping. And then we also talk about, I'm the one in the relationship that doesn't always remember the birthday of my husband, so I'm say, oh, it's his birthday. So writing down important birthdays, writing down things that really matter to you. We include the personal. We put it all together, personal and professional. And then the next thing we do, and this has been something incredibly important in my life since I started being in mastermind groups in the 80s, is what happens when you collaborate? What happens when you share a dream or a goal? The next thing we do is we help people make connections in the room, and we also talk about where they can connect outside of the room. We support vision boards. We don't do them, but we support them. And I gave you it's actually one of what we use when we do our collaboration piece, and you take one of your goals. In our book, is it a personal or professional? What part of your life is it? Today's date, the target date you want it done, the actual goal, what is your reward for achieving this goal? I've had many people write it down and go, oh my gosh, I don't even really care about this goal, and I'm making it a goal. I think that's great. Don't waste our time on things that don't matter. If you know what's holding you back, write it down and be open to possible solutions. And then what are your action steps to making these happen? At the bottom, we have different ways we look at collaboration. Some is brainstorming, where people will throw out ideas for you, not to judge them, just to take them, and that's where Dream Tank, Dolphin Tank, we have Dream Tank too, Dolphin Tank came from, is all of your wisdom. Brain sharing it with others can help people. Skill sharing, maybe there's someone that you could do something for them, a form of bartering. They can help you and you help them. What are some resources, connections? And sometimes people just need to talk out loud. How many of you in the room have a problem and you start talking to a trusted friend or advisor and out of your mouth comes your own solution? It happens to a lot of us when we give ourselves time to think. I'm big on book reading. I believe books have influenced my life. The reason you guys are all in this space right now is because of books I've read. The one I mentioned, The Dream Manager, a woman named Patty Cook, there were several in the room that would know who Patty Cook was. She's a life coach here in St. Louis. We've actually dedicated the library to Patty Cook. When she had gone through Joy of Goals, and I'm not a corporate person, I don't do well in the corporate environment, but she said, read this book, The Dream Manager, and it was really to take like Joy of Goals into corporations, where people's and the employees, their dreams become as important. And in the book, The Dream Manager, they show statistical data on this. They start with a fictional company that's really, they have fictionalized a real company. It's a janitorial firm out of Ohio called Jancoa. And they brought coaches in to help their employees dream. And they had a 390-something% turnover, and then they ended up with, over a 3-year period, no turnover because the employees' dreams were heard. They actually help people learn English as the second language. It's a janitorial firm with the lowest economic, their employees are the lowest economic, so they had transportation issues, they bought a bus. There was all kinds of things that came out of helping their employees dream. So that is like, for any of you that you want to help your teams, maybe helping them dream. The Dream Giver is a book by Bruce Wilkinson, and it's a book about that everybody is born with a dream, that literally God gives everybody a dream, but many of us live in the land of ordinary, and we have family and friends that want to protect us, and they really don't want us to go for our dreams, so that's another great book. The 1 Minute Millionaire by Mark Victor Hansen and Robert Allen. To me, that is a really cool dream book because it talks again about how collaboration works and how we can have a great idea in a moment. And that idea could become something that turns you into a millionaire if that's what you want. There's a book by Henriette Ann Clauser, Write It Down, Make It Happen. I said earlier that some of the people, when they go back through at the end of the year, or they're coming to Joy of Goals, maybe they haven't used it as a workbook during the year, but they go through their 101 goals, they're going, oh my gosh, this happened, this happened, this happened. And it's almost like, I'm just gonna say it's like crazy. It's like they wrote it down and literally they didn't do anything. One woman, Rebecca Now, many of you may know her, one of the things she wanted, I'll say 2 things she has shared before. She wanted a health membership to a certain type of a health place where she could swim and do all kinds of things. She won it. She just won it. She also was wanting to have a condo, and she put down, buy a condo. But one of her friends ended up calling her and saying, hey, will you spend a week with me at my condo? It cost her nothing. And so she looks back and says, I'm writing down what I want, and she's attracting it. Okay, now this one I'm just throwing in because it is my new favorite business book, Everybody Matters, The Extraordinary Power of Caring for Your People as Family by Bob Chapman and Raj Sisodia. I don't know how to say his name correctly, but it is about caring for people. And while it may not have much right now as far as setting the goals, I believe that everybody matters, and that's how dreams come true, is when we're helping other people with their dreams, that everybody matters. I recommend mastermind groups, coaching, accountability partners, anything that can help us stay focused on our dreams. This place would not have happened at all without masterminds, without the support of people like Bill and Cynthia. We wouldn't be here. Glenda, so many people come together to help people. And I hope these tips are helpful. And I don't know if I'm done right now. I think I'm done right now, or almost done right now. Questions? Anybody with a question? And I hate it when everybody asks a question at the same time.
I don't have a question, I just have a comment. I've had the privilege of coming to a Joy of Goals event. Awesome experience. And Karen, don't you have an upcoming Joy of Goals event coming?
A week from this Saturday on the 27th at Meadowbrook Country Club, we will host Joy of Goals for our 6th year there, Bill, do you think? 5 or 6 at least? Yeah, we used to do it at Spazio's, but Meadowbrook has got all these beautiful windows and what kind of a great environment to dream and set time aside in a country club. Thank you. Anybody else?
So some of you, this is not a question, just want to, it's a testimonial. So some of you know I moved here from San Diego, and so I went to Joy of Goals, and my goal was to spend more time in San Diego. Well, I didn't know how I was going to do that, right? But sure enough, I got 2 house sitting gigs in 1 year for a month each in San Diego, so I ended up spending February and August. And I really attribute it to Joy of Goals, that process of celebrating and then setting our intentions and not worrying about how it's going to happen is really brilliant, Karen.
Thank
so
you.
it's a
Forget
wonderful
about that one.
event.
That was a fun one.
Karen, quick question. If you can spend a minute or two, just this space is awesome, and you talk about a byproduct of your goals and all that.
Of my personality of dreams. I just believe that if you have the faith of a mustard seed, anything can happen. So, what's your question?
The background of the decision on the space.
You tell me when I'm out of time. But a friend of mine, Susie Tozier, was going to open a space in here. And this is when the mall was bustling. And she waited 2 years to get her space. She was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. And I'm hanging with her, trying to help her. It was going to be for authors and for a cafe. But I'm hanging with her, and she's going to do it. She's got a full-time job. She's got a couple of kids still, or 1 kid at home. But then one day she said, I can't do this. I have to fight for my life. And she acted like she had a gift, and she said, I think you should do this idea I'd had for Gateway to Dreams. I think you should do Gateway to Dreams there. My first body reaction was back, like, and she knew me really well. I didn't say anything. She goes, please think about it. Promise me you'll think about it. I thought about it. I was going to call her on a Friday morning, May 30th, and tell her no. And I heard a voice. The voice said, it's Gateway to Dreams, it's coaches, it's experts, it's helping St. Louis. I said yes. As soon as I said yes, I started inviting, I did 2 focus group brainstorm groups. Mary was part of it, Bill was part of it, Cynthia, I don't remember if I'm forgetting you in the room, I don't remember who else. But we had people come for these 4 sessions and give ideas. And then we started, one of the ideas was that we meet every Wednesday. And what happened was there were all these great people. Bye, Tom. Taryn, this is the guy I want you to meet. But we went ahead and we just started having these meetings, and people started helping. Those that know Mason Dukacek donated all these rolling tables and chairs. He called me and said, hey, can you use some furniture? Bill started this whole thing when our designer bought furniture when we didn't have money and freaked me out. Cynthia is telling Bill, you should have seen Karen's face at the meeting. She was really freaking out. And Bill's like, why? I said, Becky just bought furniture. He goes, how much? $1,400. We only have $500 in the bank. And he goes, he writes a check for $100. And then I told a friend about it. She writes a check for $100. And then her husband has her call back and say, can he give $100? Everything was paid for. Ann and Bill together. One day they come in with a Keurig coffee pot for us. Our trash cans. How did this happen? That's it. And I want to say thank you to everybody that helped make this a reality, because we are changing lives and helping people out of this space, so thank you. Okay, my time is up, right?